I'm sorry, I keep on switching. I really want to finish this though. I think I will like this one better. I heard Quiz said she really liked this book a long time ago. I can't remember. Probably not that long ago. Probably like a month or two ago. It's The Institute. It's a newer Stephen King book. I think it's the newest Stephen King book. This is from the library. And okay, let's read the back. It says, this is what the back looks like, by the way. It says, the playground was surrounded by a eventually some farmer John would come along and give him a ride in a pickup truck with a steak sides, melons in the back, and a magnetic Jesus on the dashboard. That is a lot of detail that we don't need to know about. Okay. The best part wouldn't even be the cash prize in his pocket. The best part would be standing out there by himself, miles from his sardine can, with his wearing smells of perfume, sweat, and hairspray. I'm sorry, I can hear some background sounds. Okay. The second best part, however, would be squeezing the government tit for a few dollars more. He stood up to his perfectly normal height, 5'10" and a fraction, pushed his glasses up on his nose, and raised his hand. Make it 2,000, sir, plus a cash refund of my ticket, and the seat is yours. Okay, this is 2, so I don't know. Actually, I don't think that these are chapters. I don't think so. Or they might. Well, no, they're not chapters because now I see the numbers are going down. Sorry. I'm flipping through. Oh yeah, there. It's just the chapter is very, very long. So I don't know. I'm gonna say. Okay, so the chapter is this long. Y'all, look how many pages it is. And actually, it's this too because when we read some, oh my goodness. I wonder does the devil of me shouting this little mic. Okay, so we're not going to get through. We're just going to make it through the 20-minute mark. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that, make sure that, I don't know, because I know that I won't be able to read about 20 pages. You know what I'm saying? My skin is peeling on my finger. My goodness, wow, that's weird. That never happened to me before. Okay, the voucher turned out to be for a cheese dog hotel located near the end of Tampa International's most heavily used runway. Tim fell asleep to the sound of airplanes, awoke to more of the same, and went down to ingest a hard-boiled egg and 2 rubber pancakes from the complimentary breakfast buffet. Although far from a gourmet treat, Tim ate heartily, then went back to his room to wait for 9 o'clock when the banks opened. He cashed his windfall with no trouble because the bank knew he was coming and the check had been approved in advance. He suggest that you are. A car swept around her Volvo and sped up the ramp, horn blaring. She took no notice, only kept her serene gaze fixed on Tim. Yes, ma'am. All the way to New York. I'll take you to South Carolina, not far into the benighted state, but a light little way, if you'll help me out a bit in return. One hand washes the other, if you see what I mean. You scratch my back and I scratch yours, Tim said, grinning. There will be no scratching of any kind, but you may get in. Tim did so. Oh my goodness. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Tim did so. Her name was Marjorie Kellerman, and she ran the Brunswick Library. She also belonged to something called the Southeastern Library Association, which she said had no money because Trump and his cronies took it all back. They understand culture no more than a donkey understands algebra. 65 miles north, still in Georgia, she stopped at a pokey little library in the town of Puller. Tim unloaded the cartons of books and dollied them inside. He dollied another dozen or so cartons on out to the Volvo. These Marjorie Kellerman told him were bound to the Yamasee Public Library about 40 miles further north across the South Carolina state line, but not long after passing Hardyville, their progress came to a stop. Cars and trucks were stacked up in both lanes and more quickly filled in behind them. I hate it when this happens, Marjorie said, and it always seems to be in South Carolina where they're too cheap to widen the highway. There's been a wreck somewhere up ahead, and with only 2 lanes, nobody can get by. I'll be here half the day, Mr. Jameson. You may be excused from further duty. If I were you, I would exit my vehicle, walk back to the Hardyville exit, and try your luck on Highway 17. What about all those cartons of books? Oh, I'll find another strong bag to help me unload, she said and smiled at him. To tell you the truth, I saw you standing there in the hot sun and just decided to live a little dangerously. Well, if you're sure. The traffic clog was making him feel claustrophobic. The way he felt stuck halfway back in economy class of the Delta flight. In fact, if you're not, I'll hang in. It's not like I'm racing a deadline or anything. I'm sure, she said. It's been a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Jameson. Likewise, Miss Kellerman. Do you need monetary assistance? I can spare $10 if you do. He was touched and surprised, not for the first time, by the ordinary kindness and generosity of ordinary folks, especially those without much to spare. America was still a good place, no matter how much some, including himself from time to time, might disagree. No, I'm fine. Thank you for the offer. He shook her hand, got out, and walked back along the I-95 breakdown lane to the Hardyville exit. When a ride was not immediately forthcoming on US 17, he strode a couple of miles to where it joined State Road 92. are